there, I'm Angie Mock, CEO of Boys and Girls Clubs of San Antonio. And I just have to reach out to all of our club kids and tell you how much we miss you. Our staff members can't wait to see you again, and hopefully that's very soon. So in the meantime, I've decided that I'm going to read you all a book. Now, normally this is not a book I would choose. In fact, when my children were younger, I often had trouble reading them this particular book. But now we're kind of in a situation where we all have to do things that are a little bit out of our comfort zone. And also, I think right now we need all the humor and fun in our lives as we can possibly get. So today, I'm going to read to you Rough Weather Ahead for Walter, the Farting Dog. And it's by William Kotzwinkle, Glenn Murray, and Elizabeth Gundy. Let's get started. Okay, let's go. So this book is dedicated to everyone who's ever felt misjudged or misunderstood. I think that's pretty neat, pretty cool actually, because almost all of us at some point in time have felt like people didn't understand us. So let's see what happens. Professor Compressor knocked on the door. I understand your dog has a farting disorder. It's not a disorder, said Betty and Billy. Yes, it is, shouted Father. Come on in. Professor Compressor said, I've made a lifelong study of animal gas. He examined Walter, gently poking around his stomach. You'd better be careful, said Father. He farts when you do that. He won't fart at me, will you, Walter? Walter farted. Professor Compressor staggered backward, waving his gas meter. 10.7, the highest I've ever recorded. What a remarkable animal. Walter was pleased to be called remarkable. He liked Professor Compressor and licked his hand. You're a good dog, Walter, said Professor Compressor, and I'm going to help you. He poked around some more. It's his digestion that causes such powerful farts. We don't mind, said Betty and Billy. Yes, we do, said Mother. Years of research led me to the special formula, said Professor Compressor. Powders and potions appeared from his pockets. He plugged in a gleaming machine. Mix it in my compressatron and serve it fresh 3 times a day. We're so grateful, said Mother. So 3 times a day, Mother mixed the special formula in the compressatron. His farts aren't as bad, said Billy, hopefully. They're worse than ever, said Father. Your father is right, said Mother. That night, Father decided to mix the formula himself. He examined the powders carefully. More of this, he decided, less of this, and a lot more of that. Father sniffed the new mixture and smiled. That's better. Tastes pretty good, said Walter to himself, and he ate it faithfully every day. It's working, cried Mother. The air smells so fresh. Hooray, said Betty. Walter was pleased too. Everyone was smiling. No one ran away from him when he came in the room. Father even hugged him. However, inside, Walter gas was building up slowly. That dog's getting fat, said Father. But it wasn't fat. It was farts, waiting to be set free. Professor Compressor's mixture and Father's expert touch were turning Walter into a blimp. Walter began taking strange little bounces when he walked across the room. One evening, he even floated over Father's chair. "Great jump, Walter," said Billy. But it wasn't a jump. It was gas. The following evening, Billy and Betty were in their room doing homework. "Billy," said Betty, "look outside." Betty and Billy raced out of the house. Walter was floating over the trees. "Walter, come down," cried Betty. But Walter couldn't come down. He floated on into town. "Quite a view," he said to himself. A breeze came up and blew him over to the other end of town. "This is getting serious," said Walter. He knew the problem was gas. He knew the solution was farting. He squeezed, he pressed his belly with his paws, he twisted into a knot. Nothing. He floated all night long. When morning came, he was high above the world. "Mommy," said a little girl, "look at the balloon." "It's lost," said the little girl's mother. "It will never come back." Walter floated for days. He floated over green hills and blue rivers. He floated over skyscrapers and farms. He floated in the dark and in the rain. He felt lonely and cold. He went whichever way the wind carried him. Suddenly the wind grew much stronger and he wasn't alone any longer. The air around him was filled with the flutter of tiny frozen things. Millions of butterflies were caught in a freezing windstorm. They had been on their way to find their winter home when the storm took them by surprise. "Poor butterflies," said Walter to himself. The wind was driving them down toward the frozen lake below. "I've got to help them," thought Walter. He knew he had it in him, if he could just get it out. He grunted, he groaned, he pressed. He looked into their tiny insect faces. It was now or never. He let it rip. A blast of warm gas lifted the butterflies up out of their dive. It melted the ice on their wings. It carried them to the far side of a mountain where the sun was shining. They touched down in a field of wildflowers. A forest ranger in his tower grabbed his two-way radio. "I think those butterflies are going to be okay." Out of gas, Walter went down like a rocket. He splashed into a pond and doggy paddled to the shore. He shook himself dry, then he sniffed the air, turned around, and started the long walk home. He'd only gone a little way when the ranger pulled up in his Jeep. "Can I give you a lift, Wonder Dog?" "Somebody sent us a big package," said Mother, looking out the window. "It's not a package," cried Billy. "It's Walter." "See," said Father, "I told you he'd find his way home." "Oh, Walter," said Betty, "we're so glad you're back." "Not half as glad as we are," said the delivery man. Wonder why the delivery man said that. Well, look what happens. It looks like Wonder Dog saves butterflies, and it looks in this last picture that maybe they did a celebration for Walter and a parade. So that is rough weather ahead for Walter the farting dog. Again, club members in San Antonio, Boys and Girls Clubs of San Antonio misses you so much. We can't wait to see you. And to everyone else out there, Boys and Girls Clubs across the country are doing so much to help their families and their kids in this unprecedented time of need. And I just ask that if you have the ability, that you help those who are helping others, especially our kids. Thank you so much.